Now, in your understanding, as a board and as your own personal self, on whom did the duty to institute disciplinary proceedings lie on, the board or the management?
Before that, Mr. Ngabesha, you had asked him to identify the errors. He has identified only one.
Okay.
Yeah.
There may be more.
So let's see if there's another one.
Let's complete that first.
Okay. Then the subsequent, the following sentence thereafter is clearly not correct, also for the same reason that the first one is not. Because it has nothing to do with Mr. Chose, the rotation of the board had nothing to do with Mr. Chose.
Yeah.
Would it have anything to do with Mr. Majila?
Yes, it was actually in reference to him that it applies.
Yeah. So would you say is it inaccurate?
It is inaccurate, yes.
As it relates to?
To Mr. Cho.
Is it inaccurate as it relates to Mr. Majila?
No, it isn't.
I see. What else did you pick up that was?
Okay, let's see. I think those are basically the issues of the inaccuracy, as far as I can remember.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I thought there were more than that, but it may be because I may have misunderstood something. I thought you had said something also in relation to the paragraph that comes after the bullet point at page 145 that says the board recognizes that there is value, but I may have misunderstood you.
Chair, the contention of Ms. Hoffmeyer yesterday was that this is incorrect because her understanding was that the board had in fact said there was no value in the contract.
Yes.
And then we then talked about commercial value vis-a-vis the intrinsic value of the contract.
And you said the board had not passed judgment on whether there was or there wasn't.
What I said yesterday,
yesterday.
if I recall correctly,
yes,
is that the board did not say there was no commercial value in the contract.
Yes.
And the issue of value was not an issue that the board passed judgment on in terms of lack of value in the contract vis-a-vis commercial value. And that is the point I was trying to stress, to say, notwithstanding the fact that there was the perception that the irregularity occasioned the problem with understanding that the contract was not favorable from Eskom's perspective. Did not preclude the fact that there could and would be commercial value in the contract.
Yeah. So let me leave it at that. I don't want to order into leading or but let's leave it at that. I think I understand what you're saying.
Asked a question about disciplinary.
Yes. What was your understanding on whom the duty to discipline an employee, full-time employee of Eskom, where did it lie? With the board or with the management team?
Chair, my understanding is that the duty lies with management. The execution lies with management.
And what then would have been your reasonable expectation in the light of these clear transgressions, and as far as the employee that remained in the form of Mr. Cho?
My expectation would have been that management would institute an inquiry which would lead then to a disciplinary process because of what transpired at the time of the signing of this contract.
So, of course, you left, as you said, on the 31st of March, 2015.
Correct.
Do you know if anything was done by then?
No, I don't know.
Right.
I wonder, Mr. Tsotsi, this is just a thought that comes to my mind as I listen to the evidence. I wonder whether it would have been open to management or the executives or CEO to discipline any employee or Mr. Chair for what he did if subsequently the board had ratified that contract.
Chairman,
you might not be able to say. It's just a thought.
Yes.
If you say, "Look, I can't comment," I will accept. I'll accept.
Yes, Chair. I wouldn't know. I think it would depend on first of all what
maybe reasons for ratification.
Yes, the reasons for ratification, and I think it will also depend on how the management, or rather not the management, but the board views then that situation. Whether in fact ratification would absolve him from being disciplined.
Because my understanding of ratification is that you are actually saying to somebody, "I approve what you did." You understand what I mean?
Yes.
I approve what you did. You might have done it without checking with me whether I would give it my blessing. But now that I've seen it, I approve. That's the ordinary meaning that I attach to ratifying. It may well be that in a particular context, it might mean something else. But we can leave it at that. But I was just sharing with you what was going on in my mind. Okay.
I thought that would apply to Mr. Machila. But I think Mr. Joe would have been charged with something different.
Oh, okay. You must help me because I might not recall the nitty-gritties. Maybe it might apply to Mr. Machila, as you say, not to Mr. Joe.
Yes.
I might not recall the nitty-gritties about the difference in terms of what they did. Yes.
Perhaps to assist to
Yes.
direct.
Yes.
What was the complaint against Mr. Chew?
The complaint, if I recall very well, against Mr. Chew was the fact that he had been party to removing the termination clause in the contract. That was the complaint which was raised by the S&G report.
And what were the implications in your mind of the removal of the termination clause?
The removal of the termination clause then creates exposure for Eskom. And it means that the ability of the board and management to protect the integrity of the company is diminished by that action. So from the board standpoint, there would have been a fiduciary problem that it could be associated with the board in that action.
Well, now that you have reminded me exactly what he had done, maybe it applies to him as well.
Oh.
Because he does something wrong in relation to a contract. That contract, in respect of which he did something wrong, is brought to you to approve. You are aware of the wrong thing that he has done to the contract. And you say, nevertheless, we embrace the contract. If you look at it from the idea of approving, you embrace it with the absence of the termination clause.
Yes.
You don't say, no. This is bad. We can't approve a contract that doesn't have such an important clause for Eskom to escape, if it needs to escape from this. So, but again, I'm just sharing thoughts that are going through my mind, giving you an opportunity to say, that's not how we saw it. This is how we saw it. Or maybe we can see that point, but we didn't think of it. Or we thought of it, but because of ABCD, we nevertheless thought we would ratify. I'm just wanting to make sure that I don't keep these concerns in my mind, and after you are gone, I worry about them without hearing what you might say about them, if you have anything to say.